Imagine a historical event so massive, it literally shook the foundations of an ancient empire. We're looking at the Pharaoh of Egypt. This is a ruler who had just witnessed the profound miracles of Moses, or Prophet Musa, as he's known historically. But instead of actually reflecting on these incredible signs, Pharaoh's blinding arrogance just took over. He completely dismissed them. He labeled divine intervention as mere magic. And driven by his own massive ego, he issues this ultimate challenge, pitting the prophet against the absolute greatest sorcerers in the land. So on one side, you have the representation of ultimate truth, and on the other, the absolute pinnacle of earthly illusion. What happens when history's greatest confrontation unfolds? Let's find out.
Seriously, what does happen when earthly magic meets absolute truth? We are talking about a clash that had the entire nation of Egypt holding its collective breath. The stakes here? They couldn't possibly be higher. This was never going to be just some simple contest of skills or a bit of sleight of hand. No way. This was a high-stakes battle for the spiritual and ideological heart of an entire empire. And it really forces us to ask ourselves, how do we even recognize absolute truth when we're completely blinded by our own illusions?
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the ultimate challenge.
So, to defend his massive ego and really just keep his iron grip on the population, Pharaoh didn't just ignore Moses. No, he actively plotted a grand spectacle. He sent word across all of Egypt to gather the most highly skilled, masterful sorcerers available, totally prepping for a showdown like no other. He deliberately dismissed the divine miracles presented by Moses as nothing more than ordinary trickery. His arrogance was just blinding. It completely prevented him from seeing the reality right in front of his face. So his logic was pretty simple, right? Fight what he assumed was magic with much better state-sponsored magic. He was setting up this extremely public challenge against a prophet of God, honestly, just to stroke his own vanity and secure his reign.
Section 2, the festival day.
Now, the setting for this showdown was incredibly strategic. It was designed for maximum impact. Pharaoh deliberately chose the day of Egypt's biggest national festival. Why? Because he needed the entire population, literally millions of people, to witness this event with their own eyes. He wanted to publicly humiliate Moses and permanently reinforce his own absolute authority over the land. But here's the catch. The expert sorcerers brought in for this monumental task, they weren't doing it out of patriotism or some deep loyalty to the crown. As they gathered before the ruler, they asked a very telling question. If we win, what will be our reward? This perfectly captures their mindset going in. Their motivation was completely transactional, strictly driven by a desire for worldly, material gain.
And Pharaoh's response? It's incredibly revealing of exactly how his empire operated. He tells them, "You will not only get a reward, but you will become my closest courtiers." He is straight up weaponizing his immense wealth and power right here. By offering them an exclusive spot in his inner circle, he's displaying supreme arrogance. He was absolutely confident that basic human greed could effortlessly defeat divine intervention.
Section 3, the grand illusion.
All right, the stage is now fully set. Try to picture the sheer, terrifying scale of this event. You've got a massive, sprawling arena filled with a crowd of millions. The atmosphere is just thick with this electric anticipation. On one side, you have the greatest, most formidable sorcerers of the age, heavily backed by a massive empire. On the other side, Moses, standing remarkably calm alongside his brother, Aaron. The sorcerers are just brimming with overconfidence. They've got the Pharaoh's backing, the roaring crowd, so they call out to him, "Oh Moses, will you throw your staff first, or shall we begin?" It's a taunt. It's meant to intimidate. But Moses displays this unshakable calm that totally undercuts their arrogance. He simply replies, "No, you throw first." He's letting them present their absolute best.
What happens next is this rapid, intense escalation of terror. First, the sorcerers hurl their ropes and staffs onto the field. And instantly, a blinding illusion takes hold of the spectator's eyes, making it appear as though these inanimate objects are running, slithering snakes. Immediately, this massive crowd of millions erupts into sheer panic at the terrifying sight before them. It's pure chaos. And up in his royal viewing area, Pharaoh just smiles, completely convinced he has won a sweeping, definitive victory.
Section 4, the Staff of Truth. Let's just pause and take a breath here for a second. The noise of the panicking crowd is deafening. The visual on the field is pure, unadulterated chaos. And at this exact moment, something deeply profound happens. Even Moses, a prophet of God, felt a fleeting moment of hesitation in his heart. Faced with this incredibly realistic, terrifying illusion that had gripped a million minds, he experienced a brief, highly relatable moment of human dread.
I mean, it really grounds the story, doesn't it? It shows us just how powerful and overwhelming the scale of this magic truly was. But then, divine revelation descends. God commands him with absolute authority. Fear not, surely you will be dominant, and throw your staff. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate turning point of the entire narrative. The hesitation vanishes instantly. Moses is given the absolute backing to act. As Moses throws his staff to the ground, the unbelievable happens. The staff transforms into a massive, terrifying serpent. Moving with incredible, awe-inspiring speed, it completely swallows up all the illusionary snakes the sorcerers had created. In mere seconds, the field is entirely cleared. The sorcerer's magic completely vanishes without a single trace left behind. Divine truth had instantly and utterly obliterated the falsehood.
Let's move to Section 5, Unshakable Faith, and see how this builds. So the crucial point is that while the physical confrontation on the field is over, the psychological impact on everyone watching is just beginning to unfold. Think about this crucial contrast. On one side, the sorcerers, the very experts who orchestrated the grand illusion, fall into prostration in sheer awe. Because they knew the precise mechanics of magic, they knew this was absolutely no optical illusion. Reality itself had been altered. On the other side, we have Pharaoh, erupting into blinding rage. The experts recognized absolute truth, while the tyrant only saw a direct, terrifying threat to his political power.
From the ground, the sorcerers declare with absolute conviction, shouting out, "We believe in the Lord of Aaron and Moses." There was no hesitation left in them whatsoever. They understood completely that what they had just witnessed was not a trick of the eye or a superior spell. No, it was the undeniable, overwhelming power of the Creator.
Hearing this public declaration, Pharaoh completely loses his mind. His absolute authority is literally crumbling right in front of millions of his subjects. He screams at them in a frantic panic. "Did you believe in him without my permission? I will cut your hands and feet from opposite sides and crucify you on date palms." It's a brutal, desperate rage from a dictator trying to maintain his control through pure terror. But look at this incredible transformation. The sorcerers simply ignore his horrific threat. The power of this newfound faith had completely conquered their hearts. Really think about that for a second. The exact same men who, just minutes ago, were haggling for gold and political favors are now gladly willing to face a brutal death. It shows us that true conviction cannot be bought, and ultimate truth frees you from the fear of earthly power.
Section 6. The Coming Storm.
While the truth was undeniable that day on the festival grounds, the story doesn't end with a peaceful resolution. The consequences of a dictator's wounded pride are always deeply grim. Pharaoh's grand public plot was utterly crushed. Yet instead of humbling himself before a power clearly greater than his own, he doubled down on his tyranny. Following this massive, humiliating defeat, Pharaoh's arrogance led him to inflict extreme, unprecedented oppression upon the Israelites in Moses. He desperately tried to bury his monumental humiliation under a mountain of cruelty.
But this intense, brutal rebellion would not go unanswered. The skies over Egypt were about to darken significantly. What devastating divine punishments and plagues are about to descend upon Pharaoh and his empire in response to this ultimate stubbornness? What happens when a nation absolutely refuses to see the truth right in front of it? We will uncover exactly that next time.